We got to move back a little bit.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leprechaun Alley. My name is Ray Carey Perillo.
My name is Michael G. Perillo.
We are here reading for you from Long Island. So we're taking questions. You can ask us the birthday, and we are combining the Western and Chinese systems. I haven't set it up to where we're able to do Vedic astrology live, our readings live yet. There is a link that you can receive a reading from us privately. And we will also be having further shows down the line to do your birth nakshatra sound. So, and we will also do presentations using Vedic astrology. So I have looked at a couple of charts today, Vedic astrology charts. If people have any questions about them, just kind of looking at them. I haven't watched really closely about what's going on between Russia and Ukraine. I very lightly keep track because I really prefer to approach it from an astrological perspective and kind of stay out of the weeds of opinion too much. I don't want to, everybody's opinion is important. I don't mean that, but from the way that I read, I want to make sure that we're coming at this from a purposeful perspective and not so much about what our individual egoistic agendas are, because everything has a purpose.
Carrie, it might be interesting when you're giving readings on what is going on with the Ukraine and Russia, that we can then use the outer planets. The outer planets meaning Neptune, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, because the outer planets affect generations, and they would be more applicable when we're describing what's going on in the world. So from there, I guess you want to have something to say about Ukraine?
So we're just going to start from, unfortunately, I haven't quite figured out how to put my software up yet on in the show. We're still doing that. We're kind of technological thumbs right now. But what we have is we have a birth chart for Ukraine that is actually July 20. It is
91, right?
Yeah, it's July 24th, 1991, and that was correct.
And Russia is 1990, which is what I thought
with Liz
from the
R.
beginning.
When we were discussing that with her. Yeah,
I remember when Russia, when the USSR had fallen apart, and it was 1990. That's what I remember.
Right.
So, and it's interesting because Russia, when it used to be ruled under the snake, when it was formulated in 1917, it was the fire snake. Now Russia in 1990 turned into the metal horse. And if anyone remembers when Russia first became Russia and no longer the Soviet Union, so it was temperamental.
And but it actually is still the snake. It's the birthday.
What do you mean it's still the snake?
It still is. The birthday for Russia is actually, I got the good info here. I'm sorry, you're right. It is the horse. Yeah,
it's the horse.
It's June 12th, 1990.
Right. It's the
June
horse,
12th,
and June 12th is Gemini, which makes it a double horse. If anyone remembers when Russia first began its new entity.
Hi, Dolakia, welcome.
We have someone to read?
Oh, he was talking about the clear judicial exam.
The what?
He was talking about the judicial exam.
Oh, this is the Aquarian.
Right. So So what we had talked about, what we had talked about before was more along the lines of we read from a Western and Chinese perspective. As far, we do private readings when we do specific questions as far as dates and things like that. But we do have, in general,
we give an overall view.
Right. What we use is Western and Chinese astrology.
Right. What this covers is both the solar effects of the Earth, as the sun, as we see the sun in various constellations, and the Chinese system.
He's from India.
And what?
He's from India. I just want to say welcome from India.
Well, we figured he was Indian. The name was
let me see.
Indian. We don't have any notes as to what his native? I just forgot that was from
I do have some notes.
the other day. Did we keep his information?
I have them here. I think it kind of got.
It's probably if he's still on live, maybe he can tell us.
No, he does. He gave us his birth data, but but he was born in 1998.
Right,
and
the Earth Tiger, and this is we're in a water tiger year. So the Earth Tiger is going to be stronger than the year itself, which means that what was his name?
No, Delakia.
Delakia. So this is actually a year in which you're going to have even if you don't feel overly confident, and because you're the tiger, you usually are very confident, except for those things that you do not know. This is a property of the tiger itself. China says,
it's actually, he is date of birth. He's the 4th of February. I just want to make sure that's still year of the tiger.
The 4th of February was 1998. I believe we checked him as an Earth Tiger.
As an Earth Tiger, yeah.
Well, we'll double check it. Let's double check it. But I'll continue.
Go ahead and keep talking.
I'll continue while you're looking that up. Because you're the Earth Tiger, the tiger itself is usually very bold and very confident about everything. But one of the ways it stays confident is it stays quiet. It tries to stay out of the activity of the other men. The bubble and thrustle of other people is not something that the tiger is concerned with. It likes to remain private and apart from. So, the fact that you're Earth Tiger, you tend to be a tiger that has a lot of strength or confidence, even though you may have fears. And the only fear the tiger has, whether it's the sign that the property of an individual or the year, the tiger is the only fear the tiger has is when it doesn't know something.
You know what I'm going to do? I do want to take a peek at his dashas, but I'm going to go on the other computer while you're talking to him and see if I can't. Oh, hi. Oh my God. She's a girl. It's a woman. I'm so sorry about that. Excuse me.
Oh, I thought you said it was a man.
It was my fault. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay.
We're new at this.
Talking to a female.
That's a female tiger. My mom is a tiger.
That changes it a little bit. That does change it a little bit because females tend to bring out more of what the astrology indicates, whatever astrological sign you're dealing with, than does the male. The male tends to be, even though the male is what they call the assertive or the positive or the yang quality of life, men tend to be more reticent in their behavior. They tend to be more reserved. They don't act out the things that they feel right away. Whereas women tend to be much more comfortable in their clothes. They're much more comfortable as females because the female is the negative. She is the negative polarity of life. She is the inward thrust of things. And her property is considered to be as the yin factor. She is comfortable in her clothes because the earth is yin. Material things are yin, whereas yang is considered more of the spiritual. But this does not mean that the females are less spiritual than the men. It simply means that the reference point for the female is more yin and for the male it's more yang. So now that we know that you're the female, you're taking a test. Well, women usually do better on tests because they're comfortable in their clothes more than men are. And so they can get down to what is expected of them because women are more naturally in agreement with the energies of the earth itself.
I'm going to peek over here. Did she say what time she was born? 14:17 p.m.
14:17 p.m. That's 2 o'clock to 14 p.m. And
she's great with the military time.
Oh yeah, the military time is where the stance usually used mostly when we're dealing with governmental things, where it's a more regimented way of looking at things. When
I'm just reading. I'm just looking over.
Okay, so
Janet, Let me read this down.
So getting back to the fact that you're an earth tiger, well, earth is stronger than water. Now, how do we know that? How do we interpret this? We interpret this because, in a simple way, we know that the animal nature of the tiger is wood, but animals have their own elements, and they go in sets of threes. So, for instance, the month of Aquarius, the month of Pisces, and the month of Aries in that row are considered to want wood as their nature. But the years have their own elements, and they go in sets of two. Whereas with the animals, there are only 4 elements. So 4 times 3 is 12. You have the 12 years or the 12 months. When we're dealing with the years, they go in sets of 2. One is yang and the other is yin. So for instance, for those who are taking notes, 0 and 1 years, this means that the end of the last digit of the year, in other words, 1900, 1901, 1920, 1921, 1930, 1931. When the digit ends in 0 and 1, these are considered the metal years. And 0 would be the yang expression of metal, and 1 would be the yin expression of metal. 2 and 3 would be the water years.
Okay.
2 being the yang expression of water, 3 being yin expression of water.
Hi, welcome to Sylvia. Hi. You know what? I'm going to actually have to use my program on this computer, so you can still hear us talking. I don't know if the camera still stays, but I'm going to go in and enter this data really quick. I unfortunately, because what I want to do is just get a quick look at her dashas. That's something I can do a quick and dirty on. So, but go ahead and keep talking.
So because of this, we are able to read the values of an individual against a particular year. The sign and their year are compared, and that is how we come up with the fact that Earth is a strong year, stronger than the animal nature of the tiger itself. Why? Because in the Chinese system, there are elements that produce other elements, and there are elements that respond to other elements. So, for instance, 0 and 1 being metal years, they produce, when they are melted by the attack from fire, they produce water. That's how we get 0 and 1 metal years turning into 2 and 3 water years. So therefore, fire, for instance, produces earth. When fire is consumed itself, it reduces to ash, which becomes earth. So fire being the years that are ending in 6 and 7 turn into the earth 8 and 9. So that is how we've determined that you're a wood animal by nature of the tiger, but the year that you're going through is earth. Now, why is this a strong year for the tiger? Because in China, wood controls earth. That is that once earth is, when wood controls earth, in that the roots of the wood representing all plant life, the roots can seize the earth and take back the water and produce from whatever is hidden in the earth. This allows the tiger to be in control of the year. So even though you have you're questioning whether or not you're going to do well on your test, you have a year your year is stronger. I should say your animal is stronger than the year itself. So because this is a water tiger year, it's gone from the 2 and 3 years, I should say, from the 0 and 1 years, which turn into water, which are 2 and 3 years. So we're in 2022. So, and it is the year of the tiger. So you are born in 1998, which is Earth year of the tiger. This means that the Earth actually, this is a strong year for the tiger because the wood controls earth. So even though you have doubts and things like that, you're still very assertive. You're going to have deep underneath, you're going to be in control. You know that things are going to be you're going to behave that way, whether you notice this or not. And let's try to remember, with astrology, you don't necessarily recognize all of the conditions.
Okay, I'm sorry if you couldn't see us for a moment. I'm back. I was able to get for Delakia, sweetheart. So what at least I was able to determine, I can just get a brief look at your dasha system. And during the 23 and 24, actually right now as well, you're going through a Rahu dasha, and it's corresponding to issues surrounding your home, your 4th house. And it's also corresponding to your 10th house and your 11th house. So you have and your sub periods, your antar dashas. So what I would say for you is I would say things look great for you. You have all of this education. It's linked to your 10th house and your 9th house. Right.
The 4th house being your inner self, the comforts within
Right.
yourself, what you're familiar with. The 10th house being how you deal with the outer world, with the government, with big universities, with
Hi, JG, welcome.
governmental institutions, anything that is large and it is outside of your sphere. So it would be more of the social, whereas your 4th house is your inner familiar self. It's family,
Right.
it's home. This means that you will have you will be dealing with both of these issues, how you feel and how you deal with the outside. And this would be a concern of yours because you're wondering whether your comfort is really based on something you can count on, because you're also concerned about how you deal with the outside, which you don't have total control until you mingle with the outer world. And this is what you're worrying about here now, is a test which is really a representation of your outer self.
So she's going into law, and so right. So what's so interesting, let's see if I can kind of look at this without going off camera a little bit. I'm going to move this around. Let's see if I can kind of do that. And so, right. So briefly, what's going on, just looking at your dasha changes. So this is her 10th house and her 11th house. I don't know.
This is the problem with,
if you can see this over here.
With Jyotish, you have to really, it's a far more intricate system.
Well,
we are taking
a
lot of time off of other people here.
Right. No, it's, they haven't asked any questions yet, so we're just talking about this.
Okay.
So, right. So it does look like, honestly, when you have Rahu in your 1st house, there's a really strong proclivity toward that, because even though it sounds terrible, but you understand what this probably means more than other people. I'm sure you're familiar with Jyotish. Rahu represents the head of the demon, also the figurehead. So you're going through a Rahu period. So, and going through that, there are really strong indications.
Well, it's more assertive than.
Yeah. This, I mean, if I was going to say, if you're going to be the head of something, that's definitely something I would want to see in relationship to other planets, is that Rahu. So anything that you're going through where you're going into a leadership position, this is a great planet to show up. And this is your major period. So you're right on track.
Well, again, as we were just saying about her, that because you're the tiger, and this is and you're born in Earth year, already you have.
Hi, Angelita. Welcome.
Already you have strength, because the wood tiger is stronger than the Earth year. What did you want?
Angelita, she was just thanking us and letting us know that she was going to come in, but didn't want to be rude because she had to leave early. So I appreciate that so much.
So there should be a greater strength, but when you have strength, doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to work out just hunky-dory. And the reason being is that when you have strength, you tend to be less guarded. You tend to be more assertive and more confident, and it could be premature and it could be overdone. So here you would have to be careful, and it is correct for you to be worried a little bit, because your strength allows you to overlook certain things.
Well, what's so interesting too is that what's going on with her 4th house right now is that It's a fourth house issue that's going on.
Mhm.
Rahu is in her fourth house in
Right,
Leo,
right.
and it's in opposition to the 10th. And so this is actually dealing right with her axis of destiny. Once again, it's Rahu. So it's
Mhm.
an axis of destiny matter, and
Right,
you're at the
right.
perfect age. Yeah, and she has in her 10th house, she has Mars conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius.
So what I
Yeah.
would say in terms of taking the test, if you were to take it this year, that just remember that you have the strength, but not to overlook things that you would overlook because you have strength. In other words, look at something twice,
Right. It
revisit
does help to be
all.
a female in
Right,
this matter.
revisit.
Yeah.
Well, yes, the females usually do better on tests in any event.
And also we're better at asking ourselves, okay, is there something I overlooked?
Right, because that's
Yeah.
more of the nature of
Right.
the yin the quality than the yang quality.
Right.
Because the yin is inner, it's an inner thrust, and therefore you're interrogating your inner person. Whereas the yang person, let's say a male, would tend to kind of say, well, I think I've done it all. Where the yin is saying, do I feel all of me? Do I touch all of me? Have I
Right.
visited all parts of my mind, all parts of my body? This is very typical, or more typical, of the female nature than it is of the male. So I would say that you have the strength over this year. This year is a water tiger, and a water tiger is a fairly good year for the tiger because the element of the tiger wood is very compatible
So her
to the
studies are going to
year.
move very quickly as well.
Yes,
Lots of activity.
and the tiger, the quality of the tiger is wood, and the year is compatible because water creates wood. So, but now we have to consider of these two qualities, we enter the third, which is your earth. Earth is the enemy of water, and it is the friend of, well, it's not the friend of either. It's the enemy of water and wood. Wood being in control, earth being in control of water, wood in control of earth. So we have a situation in which, um, if you do everything right, you're absolutely somewhat invincible this year.
Oh, in your ninth house, what I have for the time that you gave me with 1417 in Junagadh, India, February 4th, 1998. What I show in your ninth house is actually the Sun and Mercury conjunct. And in your 10th house, I have K2 Mars and Jupiter conjunct in that chart.
All right, but Mercury conjunct the Earth is not a strong.
No, Mercury conjunct the Sun
Mercury conjunct
in the ninth. What she was asking is, the chart that she's familiar with has 4 planets in her ninth house, and so I was just clarifying that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
no, it's
Mercury conjunct the Sun is not good for Mercury. Mercury rules the processes of the mind. So now we understand that you're concerned about how you will do on the test, because it's basically your mind that's being tested.
right, but they're not combust. So and
They're not
that's good.
combust,
They
so
aren't
that's a good
combust.
thing.
Yeah.
If it were combust, it would mean the mind becomes very weak. If they're not combust, but we have Mercury in the ninth house opposite its ruler, so that also puts a stress on the mind. But the ninth
But
house.
it's in Capricorn, so it's in a
Oh, it's
friendly
in
sign.
Capricorn, so yes, it's in a friendly sign. And because it's in the ninth, because of the ninth house deals with higher education.
Let me see if I can make those edits, but I don't think it's going to make much of a difference in terms of where the planets are lined out. Hold on, you can't see over here.
No, well, you go ahead.
Let me see if
do
I can.
what you're doing. This is interesting that you're trying to read a chart.
Yeah, I thought. Since we're kind of in our experimental and growth stage, then we'll see if we can.
We need to get maybe another computer so that we can do.
Yeah, what I have to do is learn how to. Let's see.
We have 3 computers. I mean, we should be able to use the others to be able to do both.
Yeah. Right. Right. So the chart, so what I have with the data that you gave me is that you have the Sun and Mercury in your ninth house, and that you have K2 Mars and Jupiter in your 10th.
And the sun in the ninth house is very powerful for the intellect, for higher education, for those things which are beyond the self.
Right, because it does represent the soul as well.
Right, right. It's ruled by Sagittarius, and Jyoti should be the same.
Right.
But this is Capricorn, though, you said, did you not?
Yeah, she's in Capricorn.
So
So Jyotish in Capricorn. The Sun and Mercury are conjunct in
Capricorn
They're
deals
not
with
combust.
social things. It deals with
Right.
outer things, with universities, with, as I said, higher entities like the military, like the hospitals. Any large entity is under Capricorn. So you're talking about a test and obviously a university. So this is proper. This is actually good.
Right. And with Jupiter in Aquarius in your 10th house, I mean, that's also a really strong indicator for becoming a judge. So you have authority planets as well going on. Sun in Capricorn, Jupiter in your 10th house, your house of career. And then in your 4th house overall, that can represent your homeland, not just your home. So in your homeland, you can have a position of authority as well. So it looks good. Yeah, I mean, that's we can do a quick and dirty, but yeah, it does look good for you, and you're very welcome.
Okay, so we go on. With,
anybody have any other questions? And I'll just kind of keep an eye out and we'll answer. So what I wanted to do, I hope Lizar is able to come on soon. She brought up Ukraine, and I was kind of talking about this a little, Ukraine and Russia, and I was kind of looking at their birth charts. And I do have them up on my Vedic astrology program. So the challenge is all the good technology we have right now in our computers is on my Mac. So we have to get our other computers kind of set up to be a little more tech savvy so I can have my dashboard set up to do computer hop when we need to. So what Liz R had been talking about is
Russia is put together in the year of the horse. We are now
June 12th, 1990.
And we are in the year of the tiger. The horse and the tiger will get along very well.
Yeah, this is a good year for Russia.
Very well, because the horse is considered a fire element, and the tiger is a wood element. And in China, it is said that wood produces fire. And so these are friendly. They're very strong with each other. However, with Ukraine, it's a metal year. And metal should dominate, but when an element dominates over another, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the one that's going to succeed or overpower the other.
I just have a brief question. Stay with that. It hasn't.
Okay.
When we went to look at the chart on our program, maybe one of you could tell me, did we end up going off camera when we were looking at the chart, or were we able to stay on camera? Could someone just let us know that? But go ahead and keep talking.
So, and because we have Ukraine as the metal year, the metal can be tough. So let's not undermine Ukraine just because Russia is attacking it. Whereas the fire year, well, the way fire works is that it tends to be a dominating element.
And Ukraine, right, they were born in year of the goat. This is a really rough year for them. Even though the water is going to offer a modicum of protection, they were born in 1991, and this is year of the tiger.
Well, I had it backwards. Russia is not fire. That was the USSR. Russia is a 1990 metal horse,
and Ukraine
is a metal goat.
Yeah,
What's interesting about this, that is in China, the horse, which corresponds to Gemini, the month of Gemini, and the goat, which corresponds to the month of Cancer, both of these are fire elements. These animals prefer fire. Well, that's interesting because the only difference between them is the sign, the animal nature, the horse versus the goat. Well, if there's a contest between these, it would stand to reason that the goat would probably win in this contest because the goat, one of its qualities is extreme stubbornness. Whereas with the horse, it's very changeable.
Right.
It moves around, it's constantly changing. So whatever Russia is doing may not last very long. And whatever the Ukraine is doing will tend to endure and last a long time.
But
now, looking at this metal, neither one are going to really get along with the United States. Why? The United States was founded in the fire monkey. So now we have the United States is fire, and fire attacks metal. So United States, in its energy, whether it wants to be good or bad, would have some kind of an
Hi,
undesired
Angelita.
effect. Undesired effect because fire will control over metal.
Yeah, so
However, let's try to remember that just because an element conquers another doesn't mean it's going to win. Because when you attack fire, when fire attacks metal and it's overbearing, the metal will turn to water and water will attack fire. So you see, there's always a way out for all elements. But
go ahead. No, you go. Keep talking for a moment. I'm getting out of a little situation.
So this is interesting because according to our news and according to the fears of most people, we believe that this giant called Russia, this nasty country, is going to overtake this poor, weak country called Ukraine. The difference between the two is that the horse, which would be the year that Russia was put together in 1990, the horse is versatile, it's changeable, it's intelligent, it has a lot of self-esteem, and it moves with that. Once they do move, they move with force. The goat, on the other hand, is much more protective of itself. It is concerned with inner feeling with itself. And as we look at these two countries, that is what most people are reacting to, that poor Ukraine, the goat. It's sensitive, it's feminine, it's gentle, it has feelings, and we worry about them. But let's not forget that goats tend to be tempting. They are, the goat is notorious for seeing or looking at the other side as greener than this side. The grass is always greener on the other side. The horse, on the other hand, is not concerned with that. The horse is concerned simply with its own survivability, that it understands its environment at large, and if its environment is safe. So we see Russia worrying about losing its, let's say, its borders. That is, borders may become weak or they may become vulnerable. So we see this is the reason for Russia to go into the Ukraine altogether. We see this in the signs. And the goat simply wants to hold on and not change. Now, Russia gave Ukraine warnings, and a lot of warnings not to enter with NATO. So we see the horse wants to be sure that its environment is safe. Horses are notorious for knowing when there are fires, even in their in nature, where they happen to be residing. They know that there are fires well before a fire gets to them. They know when there are animals penetrating, the predators moving into their territory, and they react to this. Whereas the goat is not worried about that, because the goat can climb mountains, it can do tricks. It is very versatile in its ability to sustain and maintain.
However, this year is year of the water tiger, so it's a natural enemy to the goat.
Right, where the tiger is friendly with the horse,
and we're going to And
but the tiger is not so friendly with our country, the United States, because the United States is the monkey. The monkey is known as an animal that wants metal. The horse is fire. So there's going to be that kind of irritation going on.
Right, always a thorn in the side.
Right. So if the Russia is too aggressive, meaning that fire is, metal.
And we'll talk about the leaders too.
Metal is attacking fire. It will tend to lose because fire will control. But if fire is too aggressive, then the metal will turn to water, and then the fire will suffer. But when the metal turns to water, this is a strong place for the metal goat, because metal is friendly, water is friendly with metal.
But so the water is going to be friendly with both. So the situation with Ukraine, this is awful right now. What's happening is awful, but eventually it will be resolved. There will still be an outcome that will be beneficial for Ukraine.
What complicates all of this is that we know that the monkey is metal,
Yes.
and the United States is the animal. It's under the animal of monkey.
And we're always monkeying around, stirring and getting into trouble,
But
with other people's stuff.
we were founded in a fire year.
And we were founded in a
So
fire year.
the United States is used to turning into water when there is too much, when there is too much metal,
Yep.
when the monkey is behaving out of sorts. It's the fire nature of the year will kind of make the fire more subdued. So this is very interesting to mix these together,
Right.
and to give
And
you
run
a
our
very
Pluto return.
to give you a more thorough reading, we'd have to do a Jyotish chart on both countries, on all three countries, and then try to see how they fare with one another. And remember, Jyotish is a much more complex system.
Well, yeah, we would look at you know, their dashas, so their major planetary periods, and they're ruled by a planet, and also ruled by the house that that planet is located in the chart. And so there are major planetary periods that they go through that are based on the moon.
Right. So we first have to analyze what each country is going on, what's going on with each country in terms of their charts, and then compare the three charts together and try to deduce more or less what might happen. Remember, giving predictions is a very complex method, and it's not necessarily an accurate one because there is always free will.
Yeah.
And the countries are ruled by people who have free will.
Yes. So, right. And not only free will, but just like a combination of intentions and energies. And it's kind of how frequency works. I mean, we were right in terms of looking at physics and getting averages and thinking of things in those contexts, because you know what we're really are these bands of energy ribbons, like these bands of consciousness merged together, and here we are. That makes one conscious entity, for example. And that's really what's going on even in health and everything in our bodies. When things don't go right, there's something going on with the energy and with the frequencies. So even in the countries themselves, we have to sort of get like a universal collection of what that representative energy is going to result in.
Well, what I see between these three countries is yes, we could almost say a stalemate.
Yeah.
Because each of them, the strength of one is the weakness of the other. And none of them, neither one of the three are really strong favorites of one another, or the other, which we should say. The United States is not completely going to be comfortable with the metal goat, and it's going to be challenged by a metal horse. And why would that be? Because the horse has something more in common with the monkey than the goat does with either one. The goat is a yin force, whereas the monkey and the horse are both yang. So the yang signs are going to be after the same thing.
Right.
Whereas the goat is not really after either one of what the other two want.
Right.
So we have Ukraine as being somewhat out of sorts with the other two. The other two have similar tendencies.
It's almost like they're this incredibly desirable woman that every man wants.
Right.
But they're just not giving it up.
This is exactly right. Two men wanting the same woman.
Yeah, that's what
that's what this is all about. So what's going to happen? Well, the monkey is very clever. That's the United States. But the horse has a lot of energy, a lot of power. They move swiftly. Of course, they can make a disaster out of things, and we say they're called assholes. And I say that simply because it is a term that belongs to the year of the horse.
Well, I think it's interesting also because horses do in nature run in herds.
Right.
And so whatever form of government or trade or whatever that Russia would like to engage in, they still need a herd for strength. And so that's kind of what's missing for Russia right now, because even if it appears like China might have some type of relationship with them, they do not like each other. They both want what they want. And so China wants to be its own power and Russia wants to be its own power. So what's missing in terms of the vulnerability aspect of Russia is that they really don't have a lot of people, other countries that have power on their side.
Well, I see Ukraine as being somewhat protected because it has a lot of support from all around. And why so? Because, well, if a woman is being attacked by a man, a lot of men will want to intervene and protect the woman. And this is what we're seeing with the Ukraine against Russia. The United States is present, but keep in mind that the others who want to protect Ukraine are not that comfortable with the United States because the United States is a fire monkey, and the monkey fools around too much, and they want to fool others. That's what the monkey is notorious for. Whereas the horse really doesn't want to fool anyone. They
Right.
simply want to run free
Mhm.
and have a domain.
Mhm.
The goat, on the other hand, will tease. This is a notorious quality of the goat.
Right.
So maybe, I don't know for sure, but maybe the Ukraine may have something to do with the uh, effects and the conditions that are going on now, because the goat will tease to find out what's going on. If the grass is greener on the other side,
Right.
they are tempted. One of the notorious qualities of the goat is that temptation is one of the problems with the goat.
Right, they wanted to join NATO,
And
which is
goats
really a source of contention.
and goats
Yeah.
can cause trouble because they will pick somebody and they will annoy the other while they submit to the one they like.
Right.
The monkeys really just want their own comfort. They just want to prevail over everything. The horse simply wants to run free, wants to dominate its environment.
Right.
So we see this as almost on the stage of activity, or it's like a stage. It's like
Right.
watching actors
Yeah.
acting out.
Why don't we talk a little bit about, also Putin, who is October 1st, 1952,
Right.
and Zelensky, who is, well, this is really interesting.
Well, Putin has a lot of strength this year
He's,
because he's a water dragon.
yes,
Dragons
this is
and tigers are
a good year.
very comfortable with each other. Their nature is both wood, corresponding to Aquarius and Aries. So Putin is in a good position to negotiate with the United States because there's comfort, except for the fact that the United States is going to be bombastic because it's fire, and the metal is going to be tough and unyielding, which is the metal horse that Russia is under. So we see agreement and disagreement, and so in the terms of understanding one another, there's understanding between Russia being the horse and the United States being, I mean, that and the element of the horse with
The monkey.
with the monkey. There's attraction between these two.
So yes, there is, and just right, right, and you kind of see it playing out. Like if you think of it in those terms, so what's going on with Trump being in love with Putin, or however we characterize these things, you see all of that playing out with the world
Well,
leaders.
Trump being a Gemini, Putin
Right.
being
Right.
the Libra,
Yeah.
they're both air signs and they're sun signs. So the two leaders would have had some comfort with each other.
Right.
The only problem would have been that Trump was born in a fire year, whereas Putin was born in a water year.
So he would be.
Now, who would have been in a stronger position? Would have been Putin, because Putin is a Libra, which is metal, of the metal dog, and his year is the water. His year corresponds to the dragon, and the dragon and the dog are opposite each other. So, whereas with Trump, Trump is the fire dog, but the dog's element is metal. So you
He
would
tends
say
to
who's
wear himself.
stronger?
Yeah.
Would be Putin, because he's a water dragon, and water is a promoter.
Extinguishes fire.
Wood
Right.
is the promoter of water. Whereas with Trump, he's a fire dog, and the dog is weaker here because the year overwhelms his sun's sign. Uh, Now we have to go to
Oh,
Zelensky to
and
find out what.
Zelensky, and also we'll talk about Biden. Angelita, could you just for a minute? I'm going to just go to. I'm going to select the astrological program on my computer, and I want to see if we go off camera. If you can just let us know if we do, because I don't have any way of knowing that here. So I'm going to select going off camera. I mean, our the other program. So would you just let us know? Okay, I'm just going to open. What did I here? That's where I want to go to. Okay. All right. So did we go off? Did we go off? The screen go dark, or did we stay on camera? Oh, we did. We went dark. Okay. All right. So that's good to know. So, all right. So we're going to go. Let's talk about. Oh, I want to talk about Zelensky. Yeah. So he was born. He was born January 25th, 1978. So, but he's
That's
actually a
interesting.
fire snake, not a fire horse. Or not an earth horse.
January 20th,
25th.
25th,
So he's an Aquarius, and that was
and
1978.
he's in the year of the snake,
Right.
1920.
19.
Would they make him 1919
No, 1978.
or 1978?
No. He's
So he's really 1977.
right.
So
he's
he's
an
a
Aquarius
fire snake. Oh, that's strong. Now,
Right.
that's strong.
But that's going against the water.
Right. So he is born in the year of the snake and in a fire year, and the snake, which corresponds to the month of Taurus.
Hey, oh, good. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate it. Welcome.
So the snake happens to want fire as its element.
Oh, we stayed on, so we can do that. So that's great. So the camera stays on while we run around the screen. So we're good.
Oh, all
yay!
right.
I'm so happy. So I got that far. Okay.
Yeah, but when you go and you bring the screen, when you bring the charts up,
if this
the screen
right,
goes
if this
black.
disappeared, no, it doesn't go black. No, it still stays on. So we're still on now.
You just said it went black. I don't know.
Yeah, I misunderstood. So no, they clarified for me. We stayed on.
Okay, all right. So this is new for us because we've only begun these programs, and hopefully we'll get more intelligent with the mechanics of being on the internet. In any event, getting back to Zelensky, he is even though he's born in 1978, and he was born January 20th, which is the month of the tiger. He's an Aquarian. The fact that he's born on January 20th, the Chinese year would have changed after the 20th. So he doesn't belong with the 78 group. He belongs with the 77 group. That happens to be the fire snake. Remember, I said 6 and 7 are fire years. The snake's element is fire. For example, I mentioned the 3 wood signs, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries, being the tiger, the cat, or the rabbit, and Aries being the dragon. Now we're going to 1977, which is the sign after Aries. 77 would be the sign after Aries is Taurus. So fire signs are going to be the sign of the Taurus, Cancer, and no, I missed one. Taurus, Cancer, and Gemini. Or so I say Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. These are the fire elements of these signs. And the year that Zelensky is born happens to be fire. So to give you an example, why did we say that the United States was a fire monkey? Because the United States was founded in 1776. Happened to be the year of the monkey, and 6 is a fire year. Now, so we know that Zelensky is a fire, his person is fire, his month is wood. So he happens to be a fairly strong character, but the snake is very cautious and it's very slow at acting out things.
So hold on one second. So Delakia, what I would recommend for you, because this is the information that was produced by the program that I have on my computer, what I would recommend for you to confirm with that is to go and get a free astrology program on that. like those things on our program, I can't possibly work out the differentials between those programs. So that's something that we would do in a private reading, to kind of explore that. So yeah, so I'm not sure why there would be the differential, but this is what the program that we have produced. So I would go and look for like a free astrology program software and enter your data into it. And there are also sometimes certain hours and things that those programs don't account for. But unfortunately, during our live reading, that's not something that I would be able to investigate. We would have to do that privately. So, I'm sorry about that, but come back and just kind of, enter that information and kind of see what happens. So,
So do you want to go on?
but go
your
ahead with
thing?
it. Go ahead and continue. Yeah, I just wanted to give, when people are talking, I want to just address them. That's all. But
So
go
in
ahead.
any event, we're looking at all of this. So we look at Zelensky and we look at Putin. Zelensky being an Aquarian, Putin being a Libra. These are trying. They're very well matched. We look at the elements. However, when we look at their year, what is the year they're born in? Well, Putin is a water dragon, and Zelensky is a fire snake. Well, the dragon and the snake attract, but they actually represent great forces, but different directions.
And I wonder if it's not Aquarius and Libra issues also that might be like it's more of a mind
The
scenario.
Aquarian and but
They get along, but when they don't get along, what's going on?
But the big problem is the fire snake against the water dragon. We have the fixed sign. The snake is considered fixed because it's in it.
It's a Taurus.
It resides with Taurus, which is a fixed sign. Fixed meaning the sign is in the middle of a season, where the fixed signs tend to not act right away. They tend to hold on. They are more productive than the other signs.
True.
Putin is a dragon, which is a cardinal sign. It's a movable sign. Its natural element is wood. So they should get along in a certain way when it comes to outcome.
They should.
But their intentions are not going to be the same.
Right.
The dragon is being operated through water, while the snake is through fire. So Putin has an advantage here.
Yes.
There's an advantage because it will put out the fire, and that is what's really concerning the world. That Putin will destroy Zelensky, and that Zelensky yields to Putin, and that is the reason. But if Zelensky were to stand up to Putin, it would mean that a lot of water would have to attack fire in order to win. And fire can survive that by evaporating the water.
Right.
So
the intensity is commensurate.
Even though water controls, it doesn't necessarily mean that water will succeed.
Right.
So this is something we have to see play out. But we see that the only way that Putin can overcome, that Zelensky can overcome Putin, is that he should produce more fire, become more of himself, and become more assertive, and he'll start to show his muscle, and that means that water will waste its time.
And my hope is that will be expressed from a tactical, mental place, not from a violent or even more violence.
Well, but the snake is very meditative.
Right.
It will consider all possibilities, and you can reason with the snake.
Right.
However, the snake, not to undermine the snake, one says that the snake does not choose its battles until it is ready, or that the other side is weaker than it. So we don't know what Zelensky really will do if he has things planned that the dragon will not be ready for. Dragons are very assertive. They don't look back. And the problem with the dragon is they may jump prematurely and think that everything is okay because they're very tough. They're awesome. But the snake is not to be undermined. The snake also has very, very good talents. It chooses its battles very wisely. So snakes are very calculating, whereas dragons are more reactive. That they tend to be more single-minded. They have something on their minds and they don't think about it. Unfortunately, we can't just compare these two characters because they have countries, and their countries have many people involved. They have a base of political power with other political people there.
Angelita asked a very interesting question regarding that. So she wants to know, so is this where intentions and energies are coming into play, light versus dark? So
well, the light would be, if any, there'd be any light, it would be the United States because it is a fire gear. And the metal has to deal with the force of fire.
Right.
So the United States is going to play a big part in what actually happens.
Right. And when we really look in terms of light versus dark energy, because really there's an ideal goal, right? And in certain ways, what we view as the light is that goal of beauty and peace and harmony. But also then we have to get on the in-between spaces. We might have a period of darkness, but that's a yin quality. So that could be a period of nurturing and healing and growth versus, but if the yin energy is overused, that's when we fall into darkness because no life can exist there. That's really what darkness is about. So we go into yang energy, sure can bring light, it can bring the fire, it can bring the energy and the awesomeness, but obviously it can also overwhelm. So it is a really interesting way to start to think about it.
And let's keep in mind that the country that's going to actually have more effect on everybody is the United States.
Right.
Because it is the fire monkey, and both the not the USSR, but both the Ukraine and Russia are metal in their elements. So fire is going to have more control, but it has to be careful not to excite the other side too much because it will turn to water, which means it'll react.
Right.
The monkey is a manipulator. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, the problem we have to watch out for the Cancer in our chart as well.
Right. That's the month of Cancer.
Yeah.
And the month of the country in the United States is Cancer, July 4th, which would get along with the Ukraine slightly better than it will with the horse. But let's remember that the monkey is a manipulator. It'll do things after it manipulates, after it has thrown in some ideas and will send wrong directions, wrong signals. The snake, on the other hand, is a calculator. Everything they do is very deliberate. The snake being Zelensky's month, but the Ukraine is a goat.
Welcome, Rita and Randy. I'm so excited that you made it.
So the goat,
Rita and Randy, they are healers from South Dakota.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Very nice. So the goat is Ukraine, and the goat is they test the waters. They always test the waters, whereas the horse reacts to things.
Right.
So we have a manipulator, a temptress, and a reactionary. And the reactionary. This is what we have on the scene, at least the major players anyway.
So, and Biden is a Scorpio, and he is year of the water horse, 1942.
So Biden is weak.
Right. And so we also have another frustrating issue as well, because the Scorpio and the Aquarius, Zelensky, they are enemies.
Right. And
energetic.
And Scorpio and the dragon are also somewhat unfriendly with each other. But they have to work together.
Right.
Now, what did we say just a minute ago? Now I lost it.
I'm sorry. I know sometimes this happens. Yeah.
I was just saying that the goat is...
The goat is a temptress.
A temptress.
And
the monkey is a manipulator. The snake is a deliberator. But that would be Zelensky. The year of Russia would be the horse, which reacts. Push and pull, Russia and the United States have more reason to be friendly because the animals are friendly, Russia being the horse and the United States being the monkey. So we know that the United States is a goat monkey, goat being its month, Cancer, the goat, and the monkey the year, which is the month of Leo. So we have the year being more important in China. So the country is going to come across like the monkey. It wants to satisfy everybody, and it sells its wares everywhere. The monkey is said to be able to sell quicksand to a prospective buyer. While he is sinking in the quicksand, the monkey has the buyer sign and buy the plot of land or whatever he's on,
Right.
because the monkey is so good.
And it makes sense because really the United States is the core, what, of capitalism, even the
Well,
malignant
right.
capitalism and neoliberalism.
It's a great manipulator.
Yeah.
But it also has its own weaknesses because
Right.
the year is fire and the animal wants metal. So the metal monkey is sometimes undetermined and it acts like water. And we see that sometimes happens with the United States where it moves around without discreetly, because water is not felt when it moves, whereas fire is seen everywhere.
Yeah.
And it makes its presence everywhere. It shows its wares everywhere. Metal, on the other hand, is always pristine. It wants to show its best side. So we see both Ukraine and Russia trying to show their best. They don't want to show what is actually going on because they want to come across as put together properly. Metal must shine. Fire, on the other hand, destroys. And we see, unfortunately, I'm living in the United States and it's my country, but you see the United States as having great negative effects on many, many, many other countries because it acts as fire. And fire will destroy, but it's not necessarily a destruction for the worsening of things.
Right.
Fire is a transformer. And when you destroy the old, you come up with the new.
Right.
And basically, you can say that that is what the role of the United States is. Everybody follows the United States because fire is light. It also is generous. And these are qualities we see these as qualities of the United States. Metal, on the other hand, is not as generous as fire. What metal is doing is that it's taking it starts from the outside and it moves inward to itself until all impurities are removed and we end up with gold. So there is a positive direction of metal, which is to become pure. And there's a positive element to the fire, which is to create new growth. We know that new growth occurs when fire has expended itself and it creates ashes, and everything new grows out of the ash, and we have new growth, new forests, new everything. The ash produces a lot of things. We make concrete out of ashes, topsoil out of ashes. So we see the positive side of it. So did you want to say anything more about the Ukraine, or should we go on to another subject?
Well, just
We will probably.
I was going to see if I could pull China's chart up, but
we'll
I'm going to
probably-
have to go back into.
Well, China, I think, I don't think it has a new.
Or you know what?
It was the year of the buffalo.
I'm going
China.
to. I'm going to keep talking. I'm not going. I'm going to go to the other. computer for this chart.
1913 was when Russia was put together. China. Russia was put together. Well, USSR was 1917, the year of the fire snake. But China is, I believe, still under the conditions that resulted when the communists took over under Tao. I'm trying to remember his name now. Chairman. I'm not sure. In any event, if China is still under the 1913, it would be a water buffalo. The water buffalo. Well, buffaloes tend to like monkeys, so it would stand to reason that China likes the United States, and it's benefiting practically all of its success because it trades with the United States. When Russia was under the fire snake, well, the snake and the buffalo get along, but there was also irritation between fire and water. So the 1913 a buffalo would probably have a little more strength than the monkey. They're both fixed signs, but The buffalo is a yin sign. The monkey is a yang sign. And we know that in astrology, yin will overtake yang. Yin is, call it the expression of all physical matter, whereas yang is more of a mental or unseeable, untouchable element we refer to as spiritual. Doesn't mean that there is a spiritual is more important than material. In fact, you cannot have spiritual without material, and you cannot have material without spiritual. So they're equal to each other. Heaven and earth are equal positions if we want to look at life as heaven and earth. They're equal to each other. They're just very different expressions. They complement each other. It is like having a coin. You have two sides to a coin. And in fact, if you look at the coin or anything that has two sides, most of the times you will find the third side. That would be the sides of the coin. That would be the third, call it the three dimensions that we're used to. We see things in three dimensions. The spirit and matter are two dimensions. And the third would be, let's maybe call it the mind or the soul. That may be one way to look at it. I haven't thought about really how we would describe it. So do you have something new?
Yes,
on anything?
for Russia, for China, the birth chart is, come on, just got to put two pair of glasses on too.
Well, I said it was 1913 as I remember it.
No, it's not. It's
Or is it 25?
Yeah, it's 1949 actually, China's official.
When did it become? 1949. That's right. It's not the 1949. Well, then it's still the buffalo.
Libra buffalo, yes.
So buffalo, Libra buffalo, 1949. Aha. Well, then
now
China will get along both with the monkey and with Russia, which is the earth horse.
Or the metal horse. Russia's the metal horse.
Oh, I mean the metal horse.
Yeah.
Yes, because metal.
So there's about 6 charts that we got going on in our heads.
Metal is derived from earth. Now you can see that we're doing this live. We haven't made a big study out of it, and we're not going to talk like we're regimented with thought.
Well, I want it to be, what it's important is that this is really an authentic, organic experience.
Right. You're seeing the process that we go through when we do readings.
And the data is important, accurate data is important, only because I don't want to start speaking on the chart of something and then have everybody's mind going, oh my God.
Now I remember that China was formed in 1949. Well, we haven't thought about introducing China into our discussion, but now we are.
Yeah.
And you're seeing how it's done live. So China, because it's earth, it gets along with fire because fire produces earth after it expends itself. And it gets along with the metal signs, which are Ukraine and Russia, because metal is derived out of the earth. We take the minerals out of the earth. So they get along. Earth supports metal, so China would support Russia, and they should support the Ukraine, but they don't because the animal of Ukraine is the goat, and the goat is opposite the buffalo.
Right.
The horse doesn't really have anything against the goat or against the buffalo. The horse.
They just want to do their thing. Yeah.
The horse would probably. Most likely get along better with the goat because they're both the natural element is fire.
Yeah.
Whereas the natural element of the goat is water. So you see how complex this gets. We have China being the buffalo, which is an authority. They
want to be the boss.
They want to be the boss.
That's
and we see that's what's happening. Right. Well, yes, they refer to Bruce Springsteen as the boss.
Yeah, who's also a Libra buffalo.
And he's a Libra buffalo like China. He was born in 1949, and he was born, I think, in September.
October.
It was October. Well, Libra in either case. So he was referred as the boss. And China wants to be the boss, and we see that that's what China is after.
Right.
China likes the monkey because the monkey is versatile, it's creative. The buffalo has direction, it has force, And the horses are mutable.
Oh, he is September 23rd. You're right. Yeah.
September 23rd.
September
I thought
23rd.
it was September.
Yeah.
So we see that. How would they get along? Well, the China being earth and the United States being fire, there's really no big argument between them, and we
Right.
really haven't seen an element of negativity between these two. Whereas with Russia, it's the horse, and the horse may not be as compatible to the buffalo, but it's not a negative uh, meeting. They kind of reside, coexist, you might say.
Yeah.
The horse has
So
no problem with China being the boss.
we really don't see China and Russia, for example, joining forces in meaningful ways because their agendas are very different. And also that so Earth produces metal, but Earth also protects fire. So the US is a fire monkey. So however China decides to go about doing whatever it's going to do, elementally it will ultimately end up protecting the US, even if that's not their intention by the Earth, because the Earth is fire. I mean, because
Well, it wouldn't be
the
Russia.
US is
The Russia's
fire.
metal.
No. China.
Well,
China is Earth, and the United States is fire.
well, fire. Well, the Earth protects fire, so China
Right.
would
It supports metal, but it
Right.
protects the fire.
Why does Earth protect fire?
Right.
Because when well, no, does Earth protect fire? No.
Yeah, it does. Earth protects fire. Well,
That's right. Earth
yeah.
protects fire against the element of, well, who attacks
The US is the fire monkey. So China.
water? Because Earth stops water, and water is the enemy of fire. That is the reason why
Oh, yes.
Earth protects fire.
Yes.
So we have a very interesting mix of things. This really complicates an ability to predict anything with any real value, because you have all these possibilities intermingling with one another.
Mhm.
We have to see more of what results
Right.
to really start to put your finger on what actually might become of these three
Right.
powers.
So yes, so I was
And
thinking
then you
about
have
that.
the other
Yeah.
countries that get mixed into it, the
Right. So I was
European
thinking
countries.
about that in terms of the relationship between, just the way that Earth, for example, Earth protects fire. So let's just say like China gets in the mix of it and they're trying to get Russia to like back off, or they're really, what they're interested in very much is improving their country, because even though however the methods are horrific, whatever that means, they still really are one of the most rapid going successful capitalistic countries in growth and recovering and restoring its country. They've done incredible progress and advancement over the years.
Because the buffalo is honor, it's country,
Right.
it's fatherhood, it is money,
So
it
they're
is
not
government.
right. And so they're not going to want to be all in like Putin is the dragon. They're not going to want to just like throw it all out the window.
They're going to
right.
be the ones who keep their heads more than anyone.
Right.
Because they want to see everybody get along.
Right.
The buffalo would be, mythologically, it would correspond to King Arthur. And what was King Arthur? Getting everybody to get along with each other. No one was really in charge.
The ruler behind
Even though we knew that King Arthur was in charge, but he didn't really consider himself as the one in charge. He was the one that simply overlooked everyone.
He felt responsible. He took responsibility.
He took the responsibility, which is a quality of the buffalo, being very responsible. The buffalo is considered to be, in its natural environment, it is a gentle animal.
Yes.
It is kind. It is sweet. But it is also the biggest animal.
And the strongest.
And the largest horns and the strongest. And if it attacks, it's going to win. So this is what we have, is China being the greatest country, isn't it? It's big, and 3 billion or more?
Not quite. I think it's 2 billion. I know that's a good question.
It's around 2 or 3 billion people. The United States is only into the 400 or 500 million. And I'm not sure about Russia. I don't think Russia is as populated as
no, Russia.
The United States.
Oh, actually, China has 1.21 8 billion people. So that's
1.2?
yeah, that's
Oh, they
good.
exaggerate on the news stations as 3 billion. I was going to say it sounded like an awful lot of people, but still, it's still the most populated country in the world.
Yeah,
And so it's
1.4
like the buffalo.
or
It's
1.4. I'm
one of the
sorry.
strongest animals. All right, so 1.3, 1.4 doesn't really matter for our reading.
So yeah,
Where should we go next?
oh, so some of the things that we're kind of speculating on, and I guess I was thinking of more along the lines of what we're concerned about is maybe China and Russia joining forces. So if they were to do that, it would be in a way that so we're obviously at war or whatever everybody wants to call it. We're obviously in a situation where there's a lot of violence
Well,
going on.
it would be more reasonable to see China with Russia because you have uh, cardinal sign buffalo, which is movable signs,
Mhm.
the beginning of a season, with Russia, which is the horse, which is changeable or mutable, which is the end of a season. Whereas Russia and I should say China and the United States would not really want to mingle as really attached because you have the cardinal buffalo movable with the fixed sign, the monkey. The monkey is fixed because it's in the middle of a season, corresponding to Leo, the middle of summer. So movable and fixed don't get along as well as movable with changeable or fixed with changeable. The changeable sign has both qualities of being fixed and cardinal, whereas the fixed doesn't want to move and the cardinal wants to move at all costs. So we have China being cardinal, and it's what you said, Libra.
Yeah, so it's cardinal
So
in
it's a
month and
double
year.
cardinal, whereas the United States would be cardinal by month, the goat, Cancer, and fixed by year, the monkey, which is Leo. So we have a cardinal fixed in the United States, whereas in China it's two cardinals. United States and China can find ways to get along when, because the United States has the option to be both. Russia is a month of what month was Russia?
Oh my goodness, I know I can't
I
even keep
think you
this in my
said
head
was
anymore.
it
It's
June?
June 12th, yeah,
June
1990,
12th.
yeah.
So it's China, Russia is double mutable, is double horse. Why? Because the month is horse. When it was founded, June 12th would be Gemini, the end of spring, and its year is the horse, which is again the month of Gemini, the end of spring. So Russia is double mutable. And if we remember when Russia was put together and separated from the USSR, when the USSR was taken apart, Russia was very uh, um, reactionary. There was concerned in the United States that Russia would apart because it was having all of these reactive qualities of becoming what it became, and the United States was trying to be protective of Russia because Russia was falling apart. But then 2 years later, Russia recovered, and now we have Russia is very, very stable as a horse, but it's very concerned about what happens around itself. The
So
horse.
I'm curious, hold on, I'm sorry. We're going to stay on this course talking about the horse, but Rita, would you also like us to read for Randy right now, or would you like us to continue on with our conversation?
Well, if she wants to reading it, we should do.
Well, I
to
thought I'd
that.
let her, yeah, she'll tell us.
Oh.
But go ahead and keep talking.
So the horse is concerned about his environment, as I said before. The horse knows when there is a fire, even if the fire is far away, but it's within its territory. It knows when there is a predator, like a bear or a pack of wolves, and
Right.
it knows this before they get to the horse.
Mhm.
They don't have to wait. But if they were to get near the horse has speed. We use horses to race. They have speed and they have stamina. So this is what Russia is going to provide,
Right.
both the ability to have speed and to have stamina. And that's what they're showing in the USSR. I mean, in Ukraine.
In Ukraine.
This
Right.
is the way they're dealing with it. Whereas with the United States, it's monkeying around. It's a monkey. It's fixed. It doesn't want to change real quick. But it's the month of a cardinal sign. So it's assertive. So it went into Vietnam and it stayed there for a long time. That's what fixed qualities do. They remain in a fixed quality. But because they're driven let's say the inner intention is the goat, which is the month of Cancer, July 4th, because it is the goat, it also has temptation, and it gets tempted. It's weakened by what they see as better on the other side. So they entered into Vietnam without thinking about what it would mean.
Right.
Of course, we're dealing with what the news says about them and what we
Sure.
think happens.
Right.
But the real intention of all of these arguments between countries is control, and control of the resources,
Right.
such as gold and iron ore and copper and
Oil.
oil. Number one was we're driven by oil. And we refuse to get into other products that have been developed for fuel, because the capitalists are able to make money with what they have as equipment and locations in the world. If they change element, they'd have to get rid of everything that they have.
Right.
They don't want to do that.
Right. So it's not only that, it's also, it really struck me. When I was watching Dances with Wolves the other day again, how basically, we came over here, and the Northern European population came over here.
Well, the English, basically.
And the British, yeah. And they just started killing buffalo. Like, it was oceans of buffalo. The plains were oceans of buffalo.
To get their skin.
Right, which symbolizes abundance.
To make fur coats.
And not just for fur coats, but especially when I'm looking at how things are now. They did it deliberately to make the resources
to starve the Indians.
Right, to put the resources in a capacity where they and only they control the level of abundance that it goes out onto the planet.
Right. It was planned. It was a planned idea.
Right. And so what happens now is, that's the thing in terms of us moving into, greener forms of technologies, is that they're really fighting. And that's what happened also with the whole vaccine rollout and everything else too, is that they're really fighting over who gets to control that. And so that's why you get these delays in a lot of different, bills and whatever that you put in Congress, because they're fighting over who gets control of that. And it's unfortunate because, even when you're looking at when we were legalizing marijuana, well, you know what the problem is with that. At the end of the day, I can throw one in my backyard. You can grow a plant in your backyard, and they'll be all over the place next year. So that's what that's about. And so a lot of times we'll end up being cut off from resources that are beneficial to us, that we're perfectly capable of using ourselves, because they're fighting over who gets to control that distribution. So,
well, we have to keep in mind that the country is ruled as the monkey, and the monkey is a great manipulator. But above that, we have the capitalists, which are independent, and the politicians. They manipulate the masses in order to stay in power. They manipulate, and basically that's what we have going on now. We really can't speak of Russia because we don't live in Russia or China.
Right.
We do say many things that are usually embellished or not true at all.
Sure.
Because
hi, Liz. Liz, you know what? We have been talking about Ukraine and Russia and all of those things throughout the show. So be sure and go back and watch the recording, because I'm so glad you made it, though.
What's the clock time? And you don't want to go for an hour.
So we're okay. So what time is it? We'll keep talking a little bit. Oh, it's almost 2:30 now.
So we should come to a close for today.
Yeah.
We have something I can.
So Rita, do you want us to do a brief reading for you and Randy before we close today? Can you just let us know in the comments?
Or maybe the next time on Monday again. We have.
Oh, yeah. So Rita, so you are, Randy he's a water buffalo. He is a Virgo water buffalo, and you are a Pisces fire goat.
We have the Bella coming, so just remember.
Oh, so
we'll do this one last.
So we'll do, so we're going to do a reading. So right now we're going to do a reading for a Pisces fire buffalo, and Pisces fire goat, a Pisces fire goat.
Oh, wow.
And a Virgo water buffalo. They are also a couple.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. They're both strong. Well, the Pisces goat, that's a good combination for the person because why? Pisces, which is known as either the cat or China calls it the rabbit, but both animals are assigned to that sign Pisces. And the goat is the month of Cancer. They call it the goat in China. They also call it the sheep, but it's the ewe, not the ram, only the ewe. This combination is trine, meaning there are three. Why? Because Pisces in West is a water sign, and so is Cancer in the West. It is a water sign. So they're trine. The way the mind works and the way the heart works. The mind ruled by Pisces. The heart, which is first in China, is the let's say like Cancer. What do we know about this? Well, Michelangelo, if anybody knows who Michelangelo was, one of the probably the greatest artist and sculptor.
Hi, JG.
Michelangelo happened to be a Pisces goat. So now you know what this combination brings. A
very
lot of
welcome also,
creativity, a very feminine quality, and this is not to offend the masculine. The body is still yang because you're a male, but the nature within is yin. So you're receptive, you are impressionable. The great weakness of your sign is that you're tempted to do other things, but your month is goes with the cat, which is shrewd. It's smart. It's a good hunter. It knows what it wants. It wants good things all around. Yet,
and only good things.
The goat side of you is compassionate.
Mm.
It makes you a supporter of other people who are suffering. You want to heal. This is one of the qualities of the goat. It's the ability to strategize. We know as Bobby Fischer, if anybody remembers him, is the greatest chess player, a Pisces goat. He was born in 1943, which was a border goat. And you are what? What is he? What, a fire goat?
She's a fire goat.
No,
Rita.
Who's the Pisces?
Rita's the Pisces fire goat.
Oh, well, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, so
you're
Rita's
not a
the
male.
Pisces
You're a female, obviously. This is all female.
Also a good combo for a lot
your
of
body
energy
is
healers
yin.
and
Your
psychic.
your body is yin. The month is yin. The year is yin.
Yeah.
I thought it was the male.
No.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, the only difference I would say here is that compassion side of you is much greater. Your ability to be drawn to those who are sick or weak or unfortunate, you will tend to sympathize with them. But you're also shrewd.
Yes.
You're also very strong as a female because
Yep.
the goat is tough. It's not wishy-washy like the horse can get, or other signs like the dog can get that way. The mouse can get that way, the rat. But the goat is very tough. So you tend to be the strong one in a relationship. But what's important to you is inside feelings, family, mother, home. These are very strong. And for Pisces, you tend to be worldly. You tend to understand the basic nature of humankind. You can associate with many, many people because you can see their point of view. Yet you still have your own tendencies. The only thing with Pisces, I would say, is that there could be confusion at times. But the goat is a direct sign. It's a cardinal sign. So you have a mutable sign, Pisces, the end of the season of winter. That's Pisces. And the beginning of summer. No, Pisces is the end of winter. I think I said
end of winter. Yeah,
the end of winter.
Yeah.
And you have Cancer, the beginning of summer.
Right.
The goat. So you're very versatile. You're very versatile. You'll not stand still. You're a go-getter. You drive yourself. You don't need others to tell you what to do. You are able to strategize, as I said before. The goat is competitive. If you were a male, you would be found in sports,
Right.
but that doesn't exclude you.
Well, she was also in sports.
You can be
when she was
involved in
younger.
sports as well because, as I said, the goat is very competitive. And the Pisceans will yield to whatever is good for them around them, whatever others really expect from them.
She was actually a lifeguard. That's a perfect job for a Pisces.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, lifeguard. You're in charge, and you're born in the year of the Pisces, the fish. So yes, water is very important to you, and you tend to do well with people who are very sensitive.
And Randy is a Virgo water buffalo.
Oh, a Virgo. A Virgo is the month of the chicken, or any bird.
And I will tell you, he actually is an acupuncturist. Very,
Oh, that's
very
interesting because the bird
skilled.
has beaks
Yeah,
and it is good
right. I
at
just thought it was so
the
perfect.
Virgo
Yeah,
is good in medicine, and the buffalo is responsible.
right.
It happens to be that the buffalo corresponds to the month of Capricorn, and it's a cardinal sign, movable sign. So both of you are born in movable signs.
Yes.
In fact, the two of you are born in opposite signs when it comes to the year.
Yeah, I
The
think
goat is
perfect marriage
opposite.
signs.
The goat is opposite the
Marriage
buffalo. The
signs.
goat being in the beginning of summer, and the buffalo being the beginning of winter. So the buffalo is responsible. It is involved in anything that requires someone who is in charge, someone who takes over, and they tend to be easygoing, and for the most part, they're good. They're kind. Whereas the chicken can be brittle, sometimes harsh, but the chicken, because it's mutable, it's a changeable sign, can also be very much involved in the healing process. And chickens are very good at serving. Of course, the chicken, which is Virgo, here in the United States, we call it the year of the rooster. But China goes back to the animal nature, not to the whether it's a male or female. You can be a chicken rooster type, or you can be a chicken hen type, or any bird, male or female. Doesn't matter whether you're a male or female in your body, but the animal nature has both qualities, and we can find people that express one or the other. Now, it happens that Capricorn is an earth sign, and Virgo is a mutable sign, and it happens also that a mutable sign gets along very well with a cardinal sign. And you have this in your chart. Your year is cardinal. You're movable, like what's her name?
Rita.
Rita. Well, you're cardinal by year, just as Rita is, but you're opposite. She tends to be internal. You tend to be external.
Right.
You're concerned about what's going on the outside. So it would be proper for you to get involved in a medical doctor, working in hospitals or in universities or any large entity.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. So a Virgo buffalo is going to definitely be involved in something dealing with the bones and the body. And it was
And the
acupuncture.
communication also, yeah. So
Acupuncturist,
the
and
pathways,
because you're
communication.
Virgo, acupuncture would be very natural because
Right.
you're dealing with the pinpoint of things. The Virgo is very concerned about what is small, and it digs in and it investigates and it goes to finer and finer and deeper. Our ability to scope down and use micro or magnifying telescopes to see deeper and deeper and deeper. Whereas the buffalo wants to see outer things, outer and outer and outer, how it achieves things. It is a mountain climber. It is to get to higher places.
It's a
So you have
results-driven.
these two qualities sitting side by side, and they agree with each other because both of your signs are earth, like Rita, who is both of her signs deal with water, and both of your signs deal with earth. And they get along again because it's cardinal with a mutable sign, and Rita has the same thing, cardinal year with a mutable month, same as you, cardinal year, Buffalo with a mutable month, Virgo. So I would say you're very good at healing with your hands, you're healing with your presence.
A good
You
husband.
take on great responsibilities. You are very responsible. You obey the law, and more than that, you are the type that will prescribe the law. In
Right.
China, the dog, which is the month of Libra, he develops the law, the spirit of the law, because dogs are about being fair. It is about justice. It's about honor in terms of relationships. This is equality. The buffalo, the dog will produce the law. So you will get along with Libra. And the buffalo is the one who promotes the law or assigns the law or delegates the law. So that's why King Arthur
Or applies it.
applies the
Yeah,
law.
right.
And that is what King Arthur did. That is what the buffalo corresponds to, King Arthur. So there's honor in your doings and dealings. Of course, there are negative sides of the buffalo. They can be cruel and manipulative. That is, that they want to be in charge, and that sometimes can take on very negative qualities, like we had in Saddam Hussein and in Hitler. They were both year of the buffalo. but their months were snakes. Both of them were month of the snake. They were both Taurus. You are the month of the chicken, and the chicken will hide what is underneath. Either you're going to find a robust animal underneath, or you're going to find an animal. They say the chicken, if you take their feathers out, you might find only a bunch of lice underneath. But this is not going to be the problem with you, because the buffalo is not going to permit that.
That's definitely
honor is going to be very
service,
important. You're going to keep if you're, what I understand is the buffalo is about purity. I mean, the chicken or Virgo is about purity, whereas the buffalo is about serving people at their highest level. Because you're concerned about how you fare in the world, what's going on with you in the world, how far have you gotten? Whereas Rita is about what's going on inside her, how is her home, how is her family. Whereas the buffalo is about father, it's about country, it's about money, it's about large entities.
I just think, this is such
It's a nice combination.
It really
even though they're opposite, if they can tolerate each other, they complete everything.
Yeah, and not only that, her year is fire and his year is water, and so that can be an issue too, because when you put out the fire person's fire, you put them all out all together. But this works very well.
He's a fire buffalo?
He's a water buffalo. She's a fire goat.
All right. Well,
but this works anyway.
Water will enjoy fire if fire is reasonable. Why? Because water wants to see the power of fire.
Yes.
And fire will enjoy water because they will pacify the fire.
Right.
Remember that in a combustive
I would definitely
engine,
see Randy's calmed her down
a few
times.
What is it? I forgot. They have jets in the engine, and what jets do is they magnify the power of fire, because they spray a little bit of fluid in there. The gas is in forms of mist, and the fire becomes stronger. So this is what will result when they're positive. A very nice combination. One soothes the other, and the other empowers the other. So fire empowers water. Water soothes fire. This would be the positive expression between the two of you. Besides which, by months, you're opposites. Virgo is the end of summer. Pisces is the end of winter. These get along. Where your years are cardinal. This is interesting.
And
you're opposite both by months and by years.
Yes.
This is very unusual. I've never run into anything like this.
Because they're both very spiritual people, and they have absolutely developed themselves spiritually their entire lives.
Well, the positive
if I was going to choose a soul group way to marry people, this would be how I would do it.
Well, the positive aspect of opposites is that they complete a cycle. They complete the understanding of the world, because they join forces, so they complete the circle of life.
Right.
The negative side is that they only see the opposite of what they're doing, and they irritate each other because they alienate each other. But when you find commonality, this is an awesome combination.
Yep.
I see this as becoming a very successful pair.
Yes.
Very successful.
And just
and having a family that's going to be very well taken care of and educated.
Absolutely.
The buffalo will make sure to it that his children understand right from wrong.
Yeah.
And Cancer will make sure that the children stay well and healthy.
Yes.
But it's the buffalo who's going to be more involved with medicine, whereas the Pisces, Rita, is going to be concerned more with the emotions and the feelings of the children.
Yeah.
So it's a very nice combination.
And I just wanted to point out as well, so just so everybody understands, when Michael and I come upon these combinations, especially when we're doing live readings for people, this comes up spontaneously for us. So these matches come up.
We put it together in our heads and understand astrology enough to give you a fairly good picture.
Even studying astrology and going through the process and going through the sort of dry, aspect, going through that process, that doesn't give us the rich coloring that doing live readings on the spot does.
When we do charts, we're simply going into much more details in terms of how the planets affect each of you. And that becomes interesting. But what we're giving is general, and it usually encompasses the greater aspects of your nature. When you get into particulars, it depends on what's going on day by day. And that would be interesting too.
Yes.
Because it gives you an idea.
Yes.
For instance, Mars would indicate in a man his nature as a male, whereas Venus would indicate in a woman's chart as who she is as female, just to give you an idea how we would be looking at the particulars. And then we would be looking at how those two relate. And when you start looking at charts, you can do what they call transits, which would be daily occurrences.
Right.
But you don't need to go that far. If you want to, we have that capability.
Okay, so I guess we're going to have to wrap it up for today. I always want to give a shout out to these websites because I want you guys to be able to go and listen to other practitioners as well render this information. It's so important.
In different aspects.
Using different modalities, using themselves. So I want to give a big shout out to Linda G, the Comanche Psychic, Psychic Violetta, Sterling. Also, where did I go? I went.
Sterling, you said last.
Oh, The Way of Positive Change, Black and Orange Tarot, The Spirit Within, Celtic Tarot, Intuitive View, Third Eye Champagne, and Joni Patry. So these guys they're such talented readers and they're so insightful. And so and they really helped me a lot in terms of trying to figure out how I was going to develop this channel or whether I was going to do it at all.
So until our next show or podcast, we'll say goodbye for today.
Om Namah Shivaya.